In this video, we will try to understand events in a bit more details. Things like behavior of events. So in our HTML, we can see we have three div, one inside another. So we have 1, 2, and 3. So 3 is the innermost one and 1 is the outermost. Here in our JavaScript, what I'm doing is selecting all the div and storing it in a variable called all boxes. On each of the boxes, I'm adding an event listener of type click. And whenever the click type of event happens on element, handle click function is called. And as we have seen it in last video, every time add event listener calls the handler, it gives us access to an event object that contains some extra information about that event. And what I'm doing here is I'm just logging the event object. Let's go ahead and see it in action. So here, when we click on box 1, we can see we are getting an event object. That object contains a special property called target. It means what was the target when that event happened. So here, instead of saying event object, let's go ahead and say event.target. And we'll see the difference here. When we refresh, now when we click on it, we can see the target was div with class 1. Here if we click on it, we see div with class 2. When we click on here, we see div with class 3. But there is one interesting thing that we are seeing it here. Is like when we clicked on box 1, like 1 got printed only once. But when we clicked on box 2, we can see it 2 times. So similarly, when we clicked on box 3, we can see the message 3 times. I haven't clicked 3 times, but what is happening here? So this concept is called event bubbling. What does it mean? Is like, say for example, you have box 1, box 2 and box 3. From here you can see I'm listening for an event happening on box 1, box 2 and box 3. And even if the event is happening on box 3, as soon as that event is over, there is a thing that happens that is called event bubbling. Event bubbles out to the parent. So the parent of box 3 is box 2. So it will bubble out and execute the event here also. Similarly, once it is on box 2, after the event is fired, it will bubble out and go to box 1. So let's look at the HTML structure. So when the event is happening on box 3, it will bubble out, go to box 2. And similarly, it will go on to box 1. Once it is bubble out from here, it goes to body. Once bubble out from body, it goes to HTML. So this is how it works. And the reason we cannot see the message from body or HTML is because we are not listening for those events. What if I go ahead and say document.body.addEventListener and listen for an event called click, and when that happens, I just want them to call this function handle click, similar to how we are doing it on our other boxes. Let's go ahead and do the same thing, not on document body, but the document itself. So it means body is document.body. Similarly, our HTML, the whole HTML is our document. So now, earlier I was not listening for an event on document.body and document, but now we are doing that. So here, if the event happens here on box 3, it will bubble out to 2 and 1 and body and HTML. So we will see this event happening 5 times. So let's refresh the page and see it. So when we click on box 3, we can see how many times it happened. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. What if I click on box 2? So it will happen if it is box 2, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So let's do that. So when we click on it, we see the message 4 times. So this process of bubbling out is called event bubbling. So event happens at one target, but it bubbles out to the parent and it keeps going up. So target for all these things remains the same because it happened only at one place. So it cannot change. Similarly, if I click on box 1, we can see the message box 1. So here's box 1. It will bubble out to body and it will bubble out to document. And we can see all these things. So this process is called bubbling. And it will only happen when you are listening for the event on each element. If I'll not be listening for these events, it will not inform us about it. Like now, it will only console log the value 2 times because box 2 and box 1. And I'm not listening on anything like body or document.